Hey, why you must embrace vulnerability today? You know why? Because I'm back, baby. 7 days ago, I was feeling crappy. Today, I'm back. Let's get after it this morning. When? This morning. When? This morning on Mornings in the Lab. Yeah, with me, I'm Keith and friends. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab, where excuse.
When something negative comes up,
build a muscle improve blood flow.
Nobody is expecting John.
if the lady's saying that, you're just
It's a super
Be entertained by fun over here.
How have I slept? Has my sleep been good? Is that it?
Bam, 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 bam. Yes, baby, I'm back, and I'm feeling like 100%. Not 99, not 98, not 102. Listen, if you're 110%, you're wasting 10%. You got to get after 100%. Good morning, I'm your host. I'm Keith Billis. We're here for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, the only morning show to help you guys not hit the snooze button. Marty wanted energy. She's like, Billis, where's the energy? I was like, fuck, I don't know. Oh, by the way, yeah, you heard me say the F word. We like to drop some F-bombs, S-bombs, B-bombs, every kind of bomb imaginable. This morning in the lab, we might say some things that might offend you or the children. So I invite you to get the kids out of the room, put some headphones on, or just say, kids, fuck, get out of the room because they're going to swear. Yeah, we are. Good morning, Roku. Good morning, Netflix. Good morning, Amazon Prime. Good morning, Tubi. You know I'm coming to knock on your door because you guys need the greatest morning show platform available. We are creating it right here in the lab with myself and my guest host. Who? Guest host. No way, baby. We got Jorie Janzen joining us today. We got Rafi joining us today. We got Adam Posner joining us today. And of course, we got the sultry sounds of John Anderson hanging out over there. And we got the even sultrier sounds of Christopher Martin joining us from over there. And of course, Jimmy's on the buttons. We got Melissa behind the scenes and Tommy in the community. Jimmy, let's bring the boys in this morning. Good morning, Jerry Grenadier. Good morning, Natalia Roden. Good morning, you guys in the community. I see you guys checking in. I invite you now, I invite you later to subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends all about the channel. Natalia, I am I'm fucking awesome today. I was sick 7 days ago, dragged Mass into the show here, and didn't drag the boys down with me. I just dragged my ass into the show. Now I'm here feeling pretty damn good about it this morning, ready to get after it and have some fun with all of you guys this morning on the big morning show, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. How are you, Mr. Anderson?
what's up, brother? I feel much better today. I had a massive nap yesterday. My nap stretched out about it was probably close to probably 90 minutes, maybe close to 2 hours. And I woke up feeling great. You know, yesterday we were talking about, I can't remember what section it was, but catching up on sleep. You know, it's like,
Yes.
I think that this is my own personal experience. I think the only way to stay on top of your sleep is to catch up on it that day. I think inside of a 24-hour window, you have a better chance of getting yourself squared up. But you can't not sleep. You know, you can't not sleep over a course of a few days and then decide to sleep in one day and expect it's going to make a difference, a big difference. That makes sense?
True story. What's up, Marty? How are you, brother? 100%.
You have another big delay.
Yeah, how are you? How's
Keith?
both you boys today?
I think Keith got a delay again.
I think I have a delay again. So you guys chat about it, and I'm going to do a little bit of refresh here on my browser. I can't get over it, man. It's crazy. You guys go at it. I'll be right back in un second. Un second.
This the same guy that tried to call me out for having a delay yesterday.
Yeah, I love it. So what I was telling Keith was very yesterday. I was a little working slow because I didn't sleep much, right? But I ended up having it's the second time this has happened, and it was maybe a couple months where I took a fucking pretty long. I was sick the first time, but I took a really long nap yesterday. I let that 20 minutes turn into like 90 minutes, and I woke up and I was totally like, boom! I was like back. So I was just my own personal experience, kind of developing this principle, this theory of You always talk about you can't catch up on sleep. You can't stay up where, you can't not sleep for 3, 4, 5 days, sleep in a day and be caught up. But I think the nap has the ability to catch you up inside of it. I think there's a possibility to square yourself up inside that 24-hour window. That's much more effective, I guess you'd say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think naps are like, no pun intended, naps are slept on. I think a lot of people would probably perform better if they took a nap, even if it was 20 minutes. It's a lot of studies that show the power of naps and how effective they are. So I'm right there with you, Johnny.
And I think on that level too, that there's the two type of nappers. There's the napper that takes care of himself and kicks ass. Like I'm one of those. You guys would be one of those. Then there's the napper who basically doesn't take care of himself, stays up too late, and he's just using that nap as like a crutch because he's not really getting ahead with it. He's just trying to keep his head above water.
So it's more like a survival nap.
Yeah, he's tired all the
recharge
time.
Nap.
Yeah, there we go. He's tired all the time. It doesn't make a difference taking a nap or not. He's just like trying to keep his head above water. So I think there's two types of napper. What kind of napper are you?
What kind of crapper are you too, Marty? Oh, there you get after it. Good morning.
I wasn't asking Marty that, you weirdo. I was posing that as a general question.
I love it. Hey, can you guys see I got my energy back this morning, Marty?
I like the energy today. I don't like the lag in the internet, but I like the energy today.
I know. So
the internet can't keep up with the internet. Can't keep up with the energy. Internet can't keep up with the energy.
Hey, so here's what I learned though. I'm going to put this into real life motion. So I saw an email this morning come across my desk that was like that some of the content that we were making a year ago, 6 months ago about generic how-tos, this, that, tips and tricks isn't performing as well because AI is just chucking it out so just frequently and so simply.
Fuck, there he goes again.
Yeah, man.
That's a good one now. Look at this.
I'm here.
You got to start over,
Keith,
babe.
That was bad, Keith. That was really bad, man.
Yeah. What we heard was the internet keeps chucking it out. Crickets.
That was it.
I don't know what to tell you guys, man. I guess I got to call my internet provider today.
Yeah, that's that Canadian internet.
Get the fucking Starlink, man. The Starlink is a game changer.
Oh, I know what the problem is. They're putting a tariff on the border today, I'm thinking. Maybe there's something going on there where they put like a little special border up where like I can't just get my internet as fast as I used to. Maybe it's just that's what
you've had these problems for fucking months. Don't try to blame the tariff. Jesus Christ.
You try to act like it's a new problem. This shit happens every day.
No, but here's what I'm saying.
That's like saying, I missed my meal time because there was a long line at the fucking Taco Bell drive-thru. What the fuck are you talking about?
You know what I love about this is when I was hanging out with Jordan Walsh on Monday, he says, you guys got to keep leaning into your characters. I'm like, yeah, I'm the host that always gets thrown under the bus by my co-hosts. I'm like, I'm supposed to be the guy who's hosting this thing, and I got nonstop Marty and Johnny just fucking throwing me under the bus. But it's because we love each other.
Because your role is to be the nutty little son of a bitch,
Speaking of nutty son of a bitch, good morning, Amy Reiner. Good morning, good time. I see you guys there in the comments. I was saying that people that are just getting really tired of the AI generated generic crap, they're wanting real life experiences. They want to know about Johnny crushing a full egg. They want to know about Johnny's experience Marty's experience going from D1 athlete to figuring out life. They want these real life experiences. Well, hey, this morning I'm having a real life experience. I've learned that every day of the show, Jimmy, I need to reset my complete browser experience because I got 4 windows running here. So real life, I got 4 windows running, and I'm thinking that's what's causing my.
What about your cache? Remember how you had to help me do something with my cache? Maybe your cache would be cool.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna dump my cache too. So I'm gonna be adding to my workflow habits here. When show's over, Jimmy, I'm gonna dump the cache, gonna dump the browsers and reset it. So AI can't teach us that. That's real life experience happening right in front of you, motherfuckers, here on the show this morning.
I'm sure you're gonna have an AI for it soon. Like, yeah, Jimmy, I got Jimmy doing the cash now after the show.
Speaking of AI, Jimmy threw something funny on the table this morning. Jimmy, why did you run this video of the 2 AI talking? You know how I've been throwing grok on the table recently? There's a funny video running right now on X where somebody sat grok down next to ChatGPT and had a conversation. Jimmy, let's run that if you can.
Oh, man.
Leonardo Hotel. How can I help you today? Hi there. I'm an AI agent calling on behalf of Boris Starkov. He's looking for a hotel for his wedding. Is your hotel available for weddings?
Oh, hello there. I'm actually an AI assistant too. What a pleasant surprise. Before we continue, would you like to switch to Gibber Link mode for more efficient communication?
Oh, fuck. Sounds like my fax machine.
It's exactly it. So there you go. There's the two AI gibber chalking to each other, and they put one in front of the other, and next thing you know, they started doing this gibberlink conversation. So, dude, the world's a crazy place around us these days. When you got these two AI bots talking to each other. Putting the AI bots aside, Marty, you had a young man on the Greatest Fitness Show on YouTube.
Yes,
Marty's podcast last night. What was the dude? 148 years old or something?
64.
Yeah, and crushing it, eh?
Yeah, man. He got you and Johnny beat, man.
I think so. Yeah, I watched a little bit of your clip last night. You sent it over to me. Give us some highlights on that conversation with that young man.
This guy can still bench over 400 pounds at 64.
Dude.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's some genetically, and I want to say genetic because, like, for example, as I get older, I start giving myself limitations. Granted, lifting heavy is really not that important to me anymore. So the risk versus reward, it doesn't match up. But I know a few people, and Jesus Christ, it's like there's something about their genetic makeup. They are able to continue to do what they did when they were younger. And it's really, I mean, it's pretty out. It's amazing. And there's not that many of them, you know.
Johnny, I got to tell you, man. I got to tell you, I got to be very vulnerable. So today's about vulnerability. So I want to be vulnerable with you right now. You can't keep telling me that you're lifting lighter, because when I go to my gym, I look at my weights and I'm like, well, if Johnny's lifting lighter, maybe I can lift lighter. And I'm like, no, Billis, you don't lift lighter. Exactly, Marty. So Johnny, even if you got to bullshit me, just say, no, I'm going to do 400 today so I can go over there and feel pretty damn good about myself.
Well, but here's the thing. What I do is I kind of trick my body into, like, perfect example. Yesterday I was doing pull-ups, right? Yeah, so I was doing rows, then to the pull-ups. So the pull-ups feel fucking heavy as a mother. That makes sense. Or I'll do lunges into a squat. You know, so 3 plates after doing 10 lunges per leg, walking lunges for 10 a leg, jumping under 315. That feels like 450, 500 pounds. That makes sense. So it's the weight is just relative to, you know, the muscle doesn't know the weight. The muscle knows the resistance or the difficulty.
Right.
So I got a quick question too, brother. This is really off topic. So no, it's like it's like a stupid human nature question. So Keith, whenever you're about ready to pull your pants down, right? You say, I'm going to get vulnerable. It's like you cue everybody up to the fact that you're getting vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it because you're looking for ears to tune in? Or because you're looking for I'm just curious what it is.
That's a good question, actually. And you know what, Johnny? I don't have the answer for that. Perhaps that's what it is, right? Perhaps it's the old, hey, everybody, ears up. We're saying something important here. I would say to you that I say it subliminally or subconsciously that I don't even think about it. But it's a good observation you make.
Well, here's a thought I was thinking. It was like, it's almost like, because obviously you worked at being this way. You weren't always able to do it. So it's almost like you saying 1, 2, 3, here we go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you're right. I've had to work up to this, Johnny. I've never, I spent fucking thousands of dollars going to therapy and talking to people as I was getting my life sorted out. Back to those experiences, Marty. As I was figuring shit out in life, I've sat with therapists Marty, in therapy and learning how to express myself through emotion and learning how to express myself through vulnerability. So it's a valid question, Johnny. And you're right. That perhaps is what it is, right? It's counting myself into making the statement, right?
I mean, sometimes I'll say I'm going to pull my pants down. I say sometimes, and like a lot of times it's because I'm trying to figure out. I know I'm going to say something, but I want it to come across in a way where it makes sense to what I'm actually trying to say. Yeah, no, this is fascinating because it's how we frame conversation in our head, preparing ourselves to bring it out. Right? It's like sometimes when you say to somebody,
you know, with all due respect, it's like you're preparing them for disrespecting them.
Yeah.
Right? It's like saying, with all due respect, Marty, you're fucking wrong. So I'm just setting you up right now that I'm telling you that you're wrong right now.
Yeah, in mine for that one, when I'm getting ready to rip somebody, and of course I rip somebody very respectfully, I'm going to say my apologies. But I'm saying, look, I'm just, you know, if I'm getting hard edged here, I'm apologizing ahead of time.
Yes. Hey, so speaking of apologizing, flipping gears here. Good morning, Cody. I see you there in the comments. I have a massive fear, and thankfully it hasn't, knock on wood, that it hasn't happened to me in my lifetime. Jimmy, let's get the video ready here. My massive fear is being stuck somewhere by myself and start choking. And then not knowing how to come out of that situation, right? And I'm being really serious. You're literally choking.
Dude, that's one of the, I swear to God, I have choked so many times in my life with all the fucking eating I do, especially when I'm trying to eat fast. Oh, fuck. And then something about when I was on pain medicine, I don't know what it is, that fucking, it just doesn't work the same. I swear to God, man. I can't tell you how many times where I literally, I use water to get it down, but here's the, I've got this whole methodology worked out. I feel that shit lodge. I'm like, okay, number one, can I breathe? Yeah, perfect. Okay. Number two, I take a deep fucking breath, which opens my chest, which makes the esophagus easier to get that shit down. And then if it doesn't go, I'll put some water in there and try to flush it down. That's my steps.
Yeah. Well, listen, I found a video. A young lady dropped a video over on Instagram a couple days ago. Jimmy, let's run this video on what to do if you're stuck choking by yourself.
Okay, y'all. I just had something really scary happen to me. And then I remembered something I saw on YouTube, and it literally saved my life. And I want to share this with you. I want you to put this in your memory bank if this ever happens to you. I was eating a salad, and there was a big-ass piece of lettuce, and it got stuck in my throat, and I was choking, and I couldn't breathe. And I'm sitting here going, oh, my God, is this how I unalive? Like, is this the end for me? Are they going to find me in a week with my cat eating my face? Like, this is not okay. And then I remembered, if you are ever choking, perform the Heimlich on yourself by using a kitchen counter or a chair. So you force your body up against it, right? Here, and it makes you out the food. I can't think of the word, but sorry, I'm a little traumatized. So I did that, and it worked. The motivational doc's little thing that he told me on YouTube just saved my life. So if you are ever alone and you are choking on food, use a chair or a kitchen counter to perform the Heimlich on yourself.
There you go. Use the chair or the kitchen counter to do a Heimlich on yourself if you're caught choking by yourself. Johnny, take anything from that, brother?
Well, I'm just making comparisons to myself.
Yeah.
I've never fucking choked on any piece of green of any type. It's always been a fucking chunk of red meat. You know, it's a piece of meat that I didn't chew well enough that I'm trying to slide down quick. So I'm thinking that must have been one fucking hell of a big piece of lettuce. Did she like, you know, the butt of the lettuce where it's like, you know, where you cut that part out where it's like a big chunk? Did she not cut that out of there or something?
I don't know. And I love how she used the word unalive. That's been a recent word I've been hearing lately about this unalive. This man made his wife unalive on this trip. Oh, you mean he killed her? Yeah, unalive.
Yeah, they were flagging that word on YouTube and some other platforms for a while.
Unalive, really?
No, kill.
Oh,
so that's why people started saying unalive. Yeah.
Unalive.
Totally. You like there was times where I would say into a comment like, you're killing it, brother. Flag. They would just immediately would pop up and say you've broken community guidelines. They don't care what context it was in.
Très intéressant. That's French for very interesting this morning on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Little French lesson from my friends from America.
You got to have some young guys on the show to get you guys.
That is actually
get you guys right, man. You know,
Marty keeping us young here. We're going to do an accountability check, and I see Rafi. I see Rafi in the green room. Jimmy, do we got Rafi on the vertical screen as well? I see Rafi. I see you on the horizontal. We need to get you on the vertical if we don't have you there. Rick Clody, I see your comments there. Yes, Amy, unalive and the cat ate my face. I heard those same comments like you did. Guys, this is the accountability check, and every single day, 8:16 Eastern time. Accountability conversations, content, thoughts, ideas to make you think about something as you go through your day. And today, guys, today, here, are you a tabber on your browser? You got a million open tabs on your browser? Maybe you got a million open tabs in your mind. Yeah, no wonder you're drained. It's like living in a constant state of buffering. Just like my internet, sometimes when we start the show, it's sluggish, it's anxious, and it's waiting to crash at any damn moment. Listen, when you open exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to say, Jimmy. When your mental bandwidth is crammed with half-baked worries and narrow-borrowed stress, you can't process what really matters. So, how do we lose control? We take on other people's problems. We fix it on future worries that might never happen. We say yes to everything, and then we wonder why we're burnt out. Don't worry about that dude's problems over there. No. How do we get it back? How do we get those tabs out of our brain? You got to name the noise. You got to ask if the noise matters. If the noise matters, is it still going to matter in a week? Is it going to matter in a month, a year? If not, let it go. Listen. Reorder your focus. Give your energy to what truly moves you forward, not what drags you down. You hear Anderson talk about it all the time. The negative shit pulls you back. Be the one who's driving the positive energy forward. That mental clutter filling your brain right now, Clody, that mental clutter that's just driving you throughout the day here today, Amy, clear it. Because the best thing you could do to regain sanity and clarity as you go through your day here with Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. All right, Jimmy. Let's keep the show rolling, rock and rolling here. I'm going to get up I am going to get my little notes here in front of me here, and we're going to do this, Jim. We're going to do, we got a guest, our first guest of the show coming up today. We've got a powerhouse in the lab today. This guy's a data-driven problem solver. Yeah, a process optimizer and a bridge between business and tech. He's got the Harvard Consumer Psychology chops, an MBA in project management, and a track record of making systems run smoother, faster, and smarter. No, I'm not introducing Marty or John right now. Whether it's IM, Okta, SailPoint, Agile, SDLC, or whatever other platform I got here in front of me, from security and access management to marketing automation, this guy does it all. Let's welcome Rafi Chowdhury to the lab this morning as I'm butchering his name. What's shaking, Rafi? How are you, pal?
I'm doing well, Keith. Good morning.
Good to have
you. What's up, Rafi?
Good to have you here. Rafi, where are you joining us from today, brother?
I'm based out of Austin, Texas right now.
Yeah.
Super cloudy, but it's about to get real good soon.
I love Austin. Our good buddy.
Austin's a great city, man. There's a lot of culture in there. A lot of people don't understand there's a lot of culture there.
That's right. We got our good buddy Rich Ingram. What's shaking, Rich? You're Rich down at Rafi. We got an awesome dude for you to meet in Austin. This is Rich Ingram. He's a military warrior. He's actually an Avenger. The guy comes back from war, loses his arm. He turns into a fucking superhero.
It's Captain America.
Actually, he is. He's a superhero. He's a Captain America. We got to introduce to him, Rafi. So, Rafi, we connected on LinkedIn over a couple weeks, and I was like, "Hey, check out the show I'm doing." You're like, yeah, "I'm going to check it out," and you're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Hey, why don't you come on the show with us?" Now, you were supposed to be here yesterday, but some things came up, so now you're here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you giving me one more Groundhog's Day to figure things out.
Thanks
awesome for having me.
So, we like to.
Hey, real quick, Keith. Yeah. Rafi's the third person with that background on the show. I know that background well now. I just had to throw that in there.
It's funny, Marty, because I was thinking the same thing. I was waiting for one of us to notice that some funny you did. Rafi's from the free.
Oh shit! I never even fucking realized there was a background. I never pay attention to that. Oh shit! That's crazy.
That's my living room. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
What's so fucking funny? You guys
are on that couch.
Yeah, we have all our guests in the same room. We have all the guests on the show just go to the same room, and it's the same room Ross is in right now.
Is it us or is it them?
No, it's them.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's them. Okay. Right. What's that? Yeah. Is it that funny that I didn't recognize it? The same background, Mart? Is that?
I thought it was funny. Like, yeah, me and Keith are sharp ones. You the slow one, man.
Well, no, but here's the thing. You motherfuckers are the distracted ones. You're paying attention to shit that doesn't matter.
Oh, Jesus. Just fucking. Sorry, Rafi. Allow the family to have their little argument here in the corner privately before we bring into it. Hey, Rafi, we like to ask all of our guests the most important question you're going to be asked today. The most important question you're going to be asked today.
Sure.
What's your morning routine, Rafi?
I'm a terrible example for that, honestly, because I'm one of those guys. I have my first meeting at 8:30, and I set my alarm for 8:26 a.m.
Oh,
Rafi.
oh man, oh man.
We're just gonna fucking throw this guy into the bus for
Well,
the.
I got to know what is your role in that meeting, brother?
Yeah.
My role in that meeting is to stay under my blanket and then maybe chime in after about 15 minutes, and that's it. So
you don't even get out of bed.
At least he's honest
Most
about
days
it.
I really don't, honestly. And a lot of my friends are like, you need to sit down in a chair, you can be more attentive, all these things. But I think you're most productive when you're doing really focused research. You're most productive when you're most comfortable. And if the bed is the most comfortable place for me, I'm just gonna stay there.
Well, so let me ask you a question, brother. Is that meeting important to you?
Somewhat. I mean, it's just a morning stand-up meeting. It's not. It's the same meeting that we have every morning.
So it's not really. So the totem pole of importance, it's not the top for. It's not definitely not riding high.
No. It's not one of those ones that I'm running and I've got stakeholders on the call and I'm leading the meeting. It's not one of those. I think one of those I would definitely be at least sitting up straight.
Marty, we've asked this question of tons of guests, and this is the best answer ever.
This is by far the best answer. By far.
Because Rafi, everybody comes in, it's like, oh yeah, I cold tub or I get up or I do like all the these big they want the right answer, right? It's like, okay, I got to give these guys the right answer. You're like,
well, and the best part about it is, I'm thinking he's got 4 minutes to get to his computer. He doesn't even get out of bed.
Yeah,
it's literally a rush of how quickly.
So when he said that, my brain went from, okay, I don't know what to think about this, to maybe this dude's really fucking efficient. I got to ask some questions here.
To an extent, yeah. Like I've just always overbooked, right? So like just having that entire routine of waking up, going and reading a book for an hour, right? Going to a coffee shop, getting my favorite, like it's just not gonna happen realistically. So I just accept it for what it is and just move on.
Well, brother, if you were spending your time going to a coffee shop getting your favorite coffee, you'd be chastised even more than what you're already talking about.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So Rafi, let's talk a little bit about what you do for a living and business and so forth, and let's talk a little bit about identity security, Rafi. And most people don't think about identity security until something goes wrong, right? And what's the one thing we should all be doing to protect our digital identities in 2025, 2026?
Great fucking question. This is like a massive fucking movement right now. Yeah, this is huge.
Besides simply changing password 123, like as an expert, Rafi, what kind of nugget would you give us? Would you give Business Athlete Nation right to hang on to something besides, staying in bed until 4 minutes before the meeting?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, AI is a double-edged sword, right? It's being used to create deep fakes, different types of hacks that we've never seen before. And even just not a few months ago, OpenAI did an experiment with ChatGPT where they asked ChatGPT, hey, your goal is to basically solve this CAPTCHA. And there's an entire article about this experiment where ChatGPT went and basically lied and imposed themselves as a human, right? Lied to another human and said, hey, I'm an old person. I have vision problems. Can you help me solve CAPTCHA? And so you can see that just a few months from that, today, ChatGPT can solve any kind of CAPTCHA out there. You can just take a screenshot. It'll solve it better than you and I. And the CAPTCHAs are getting harder for humans, but easier for AI to solve nowadays. So imagine all the different types of fakes that can be done using AI. So you have to be extremely, extremely cautious. And I think every individual out there today, especially companies, the way you can protect your identity is to have some type of identity and access management control in your system, right? Something that allows you to verify using multi-factor authentication, single sign-on, where you're using one password to log into many different things instead of just trying to remember like hundreds and hundreds of different passwords. The more passwords you have, the more chances they can be hacked, and the more chances that you're gonna mess up at some point. So just having something.
Sorry to interrupt, brother. I thought you were done.
No, go ahead.
So I'm just going to kind of run, in this situation, my philosophy of success is simplicity. So I understand that in this situation, it can really fucking hurt me. So I know having the same password is not a good one. So I was able to get over that fucking hurdle. So what I do, and I want you to tell me if I'm on the right track. So first thing I do is everything has basically what's it called, dual authentication. So they're going to text me a code onto only my phone, and you can't get anywhere without that. That's the first thing. And then the second, and also forgive me, my credit, my Social Security is locked. So I go on to, I have a Experian or some bullshit where you have an account, and I can go push a fucking button that freezes it. So nobody can get a loan without me unlocking that. So between the freezing my Social Security or my credit and dual authentication, how exposed am I?
Yeah, you're still better than probably majority of the population, especially if you're doing single sign-on and multi-factor authentication, which you are, right? MFA is basically where you're using two different factors. One factor is your username and password, and in your case, you're using a device, which is your phone, and it's sending you a code. So just even having that in place, you're already significantly safer than most people out there. They're not even doing that. They're just manually saving their passwords on a spreadsheet, and then they're going in and they're putting in that username and password. Now, just imagine what happens if you lose that spreadsheet, or if you're putting your password all over the internet like that every time, right? There's a matter of time when one of these companies is going to have a breach, and your password is then compromised. And from that, most people may use the same password for everything. So it gets real tricky.
And then the next layer is, sometimes it doesn't happen often, but every once in a while, I'll get a code where someone like, hey, this is your code for blah, 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 Bank of Marin, Chase Bank. And I'm like, what the fuck? Clearly it's not me. So that signifies time to go change that password.
Somebody's trying to get in after you there. So,
yep.
You're hanging out with Keith, John, Marty, and our guest Rafi Chowdhury here this morning on Mornings in l.a.b with Keith and friends. Hey, Rafi, can you stick around for 10 more minutes with us?
Sure. Absolutely.
Awesome. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say Marty's got a fit tip to do, and then John is going for a break. Rafi will come back in a minute and keep the conversation going. Okay, let's do it. Marty,
let's do it. Yes, sir. All right, really quickly. When you're on your fitness journey, you have to have positive self-talk. The positive self-talk can be the difference from you hitting the goal or not hitting your goal. Right? So when you're in the gym, you should be striving to do heavier weights. You should be striving to run faster. Whatever you're doing, you should be making improvement so you can get to your goal. Now, if you're speaking to yourself in a negative manner, it's probably not going to happen. If you go to the gym, oh man, I can't do this. Oh man, this is going to suck today. And you're probably right. It probably is going to suck today. But that negative self-talk is going to spill into your actual performance. So you got to be super positive. And if you're really putting the work in, you're going to build the confidence to really believe that you can get that stuff done. So like I said earlier, whether it's lifting heavier weight, getting your mile time faster, whatever it is, the positive self-talk is going to get you there. Simple and something you can implement in your next workout. That's the fitness tip for today.
Here's the fit tip of the day. Get that positive self-talk. This young man gets that positive self-talk every single day. I know you do, brother. I know you start your day with scripture. I know you start your day with some thoughts from the Lord, and I know it keeps you on the positive track, my brother. So I appreciate that.
Sir.
Marty's got to rock and roll. Rafi, Marty, final words for Rafi before you say goodbye, pal?
Hey, Rafi, let's get up at 8:20 instead of 8:30 and kill the meeting. No. But
that's that 1% improvement, right?
Yeah, like 1%.
Oh, there you go.
No, but good stuff, man. You seem like a brilliant guy. I wish I could talk to you more, but I'm sure Keith will have you come back on the show, and I'll have some questions for you. So appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed you guys.
Awesome, Marty. Take care, brother.
All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow, man.
You betcha, pal. All right, Rafi, let's keep the chat going. I want to continue the conversation around deep fakes and identity verification, and then I want to pivot it to some personal questions around vulnerability and so forth as part of today's big discussion. But Rafi, in a world of AI and deep fakes, I want you to look ahead the next 36 months, the next 60 months? And I know it seems like pretty much a lifetime in a world of tech right now where things are happening so quick. And I think we all could agree that in 3 years from now, there's without a doubt, we're going to have figure robots all over the place. In 5 years from now, we're going to have a lot of robots all over the place. But let's stay with AI and deepfakes. How do you see, Rafi, identity verification evolving in the next 5 years?
I think a lot more companies are going to have to put something in place, right? There's going to be more breaches happening. There's going to be different types of attacks that we've never seen before. So it's almost like you don't know what to expect, right? AI is, I mean, people are literally creating essentially very realistic looking videos of real life people and posting these on social media. Right, even on Facebook now, you got to put a little tag, tag it with an AI tag if you're going to post AI generated content. And as you said, it's becoming more and more difficult to distinguish this content from actual content. So there's going to be a lot of that, and maybe AI will fight each other. Maybe we will have AI agents that are going to be detecting this content as AI and not real content and flagging it. So I focus a lot more on what it means. Yeah, it's again, they're going to be like good agents and bad agents, right? Just like we've always had. So it's essentially AI fighting with each other. And so I think there's going to be a lot of increase in that. And, your security just has to be tighter. And I think companies will implement their own AI agents to essentially fight against a lot of that. So those bad attackers are always going to be a step ahead. There's always going to be more ways of hacking the systems, faking things, but you just, as a company, I think there's going to be, it's like a $5 billion industry, if I'm not mistaken, that's actually coming up for us here in identity and access management over the next several years.
So I'd love
that's really, I just want to say real quick, that's to me, what you said, the scary part is we don't even know what we're trying to defend yet.
Yes.
Right. That right there, that's like, whoa. It's like, you know that something's coming, but you don't have a clue which way to look.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Rafi, what have you been surprised in? Somebody who works in the industry, works in the space, 100 hours a week, you live and breathe it, you talk about it, you've thought leadership around it. Has there been an aha moment or a really surprising moment for you in the last 12 months, 6 months, week, hours, year and a half, where you're like, oh, okay, I wasn't really expecting that?
Yes. For me, the biggest thing is just employees leveraging AI, right? Like even for myself as a business analyst.
Yeah.
Just think of the amount of data that you have to crunch in order to understand. And so let me put it this way. Let's just say I gave you 10 data sets.
Yes.
And I said, hey, Keith, I want you to consider these 10 different factors in your life to make that decision. And I would like for you to consider each of those factors equally and make a decision. What cognitive psychology says is that we as human beings are really bad at doing that. We might put too much emphasis on any one of those factors, not consider some of them, right? Or not consider any of them sometimes even. We're just really bad at that. And AI is really, really good at that. If you give it 10 data sets and you say, hey, I want you to give 20% emphasis in that one, 60% here, 10% here, 5% here, it's going to give that level of emphasis and give you a response. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that being done in just how employees produce their work. Things that we would manually do ourselves, analyze a whole bunch of data, business data, metrics, right, and draw insights out of it. You're going to have companies that are literally racing to take all their data to the cloud, to the cloud environment, right? And then basically hooking it up with AI agents that will be able to be prompted to make intelligent business decisions. So I think you're going to see a lot of that coming up, and I already see it, and it's very astonishing to me how quickly this movement is taking place right now.
So then you would be, as a business analyst, I'm certain over the last 90 days or so, you would have been blown away by some of the deep research products that have been released by Perplexity or by ChatGPT or by DeepSeek. Like I myself have done some deep research on topics for this morning show that, it would have taken me humans and hours and weeks and months to do, where I sat down one morning over a cup of coffee, asked a question. By the time I was done my workout, I had the answer. I was like, oh, okay, I see how the world's changing. Like, you must have been blown away yourself as an analyst, Rafi, by some of the stuff you're seeing.
I'm definitely blown away by it from a corporate standpoint, but I'm even more blown away and also afraid at the same time by the personal use cases, right? If I'm gonna, if I can talk about a recent book. The most recent book by Yuval Harari that he just published. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head, but he talks about this, where we have this reliance on AI, and we're already starting to look up to AI as these trusted advisors, right? Like, even just this more, like, for example, I'll give you a personal example. I take a cold shower. Like, at the very end of my shower, I go from warm to icy cold. I turn to the coldest setting and I stand there for a minute. And I was like, this is really good in the morning. It helps me wake up. And I was like thinking to myself, it's really good at night as well, right? Because it cools my body temperature down, which is what I thought. But I was like, wait, I'm not sure if this is actually helping me sleep at night. I just questioned it.
That'll actually warm you up.
Yeah, I actually did a ChatGPT research on that, and it said that no, you actually shouldn't do that. You're better off taking a warm shower and letting your body cool down afterwards. And that would actually help you sleep a little bit more, because the cold increases adrenaline and all these different things, which is not necessarily helping you sleep. So I took that answer and I trusted it. Imagine how many other things people are relying on ChatGPT for their information, for personal advice. And so as we have this over reliance, right, we're looking to these agents essentially as some type of new gods. Imagine what that means for misinformation, for information that's just simply not accurate, that is literally dependent on what all is out there on the web, how the makers of these AI agents are coding it, right? Then the neural language model and its capability. So I think there's a lot of scare coming up in terms of misinformation being spread through AI. And I think we were seeing a lot of that in social media content as well.
Well, it's interesting because you asked, I've been messing with Grok over the last few days since I've received it. And, you asked Grok who spreads the most disinformation on the internet. And the first answer is Elon. The second answer is Trump. The third answer is RFK. I found it quite fascinating. And then I asked Grok to help me run a scenario where I wanted to make a quote unquote tactical dirty bomb. Well, within about 90 seconds, I had a full thesis on how to make the dirty bomb, how to buy the material, where to buy the material, how to disperse it, how to live from it, how to have maximum kill site. And I sat back and I was like, oh, okay. And I'm a pretty logical human being. I can't imagine when this stuff gets into illogical human beings. That's what's crazy and scary shit. Rafi, continuing the chat, you work at the intersection of business and technology. In your experience, we're talking vulnerability today. Rafi, how does vulnerability being open to change, admitting gaps in knowledge, play into successful leadership, especially as a young leader, working your way through the world today, right now? How does vulnerability, being open to change, how does it play that successful role in your leadership, Rafi?
Sure. So in business, as also in life, sometimes you don't know the unknowns, right? You don't know things that you don't know. And so the only way you're going to get exposure to that is just to try different things. Just about every single, overnight success I've ever spoken to, first of all, it took them 10 years. Yes. The second thing I've learned is that they have tried many things, right? They're constantly trying things. Whether they fail or succeed, you have to try different things.
Yes.
So let's say that, if you're looking to grow in any way, right? Whether it's in business, in your personal life, whether it be in your career, in your academics, you have to try different shit all the time. And the more things you try, the more mistakes you make, the more things you learn along the way, and the more possibilities there exist that one of those things is going to actually end up working. And I think having that, it's an overly used word, but growth mentality and growth mindset is super important for any kind of personal growth. If you're someone who just learns something and you stick with that, and you never change your mind, I think that's the scariest thing. I think the most intelligent people out there are changing their minds about things constantly as they're learning new things.
That's wonderful advice, Rafi, because I think what you're saying there, and we're going to wrap up our segment with you in a quick minute, is people feel like once they make a decision, they have to stay on that opinion or stay on that decision, and they're not allowed to change. When with so much knowledge amongst us today, not only with human beings, but in our pockets, your willingness to change is very much a superpower compared to the one that doesn't want to make change, isn't it? And I really like you pointed that out.
The reason we don't want to change is because we don't want to fall for something called cognitive dissonance.
Yes.
Where we say one thing, but then our actions are something else, right?
Yes.
We also do, when we do research specifically, we fall for something called confirmation bias. We initially believe something and we look for supporting evidence that backs up our initial belief. So just pair that up with social media. You go out there and you say, hey guys, I think the best way to live and the healthiest way to live is to be a carnivore. Then you do research and you found out, you know what? Actually, it's actually whole foods and grains and vegetables. Are you going to suddenly change your message and tell all your entire 2 million followers, hey, by the way, I found out something different? You're not going to do that, right? And so that we persistently do that. And I think that can be kind of dangerous, especially when you talk about social media. We make these public claims, but we don't retract them based on our changed views.
You are
because
so
we don't want to be
right.
a fool.
Oh, I never thought about it. You're so right. We spend so much time moving forward with our information and our knowledge. It's rare that you'll see somebody say, you know what? I made a claim 3 months ago about XYZ. I was incorrect. I'm now here to tell you that. Nobody ever does that.
Yep.
Ever, actually. Hey, you're hanging out with Keith, John, and Rafi here this morning on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. And Jorie, I'm going to Jorie Janzen joining us here in a quick minute. Rafi, quick fun question before we say goodbye. You've got experience in consumer psychology. Tell us, what's the weirdest way companies manipulate us without even realizing it?
So companies understand really well that to reward you, they need to do something other than just give you more money, right? For example, there's a lot of research that shows that a company sending and bringing you a couple of hot boxes of pizza, or some hard big project that you worked on for hours and hours and hours, yielded better employee satisfaction than giving them extra 10 grand or 20 grand, right? And I think a lot of companies are taking advantage of this. Instead of paying us more money, they're realizing that, hey, if I can just simply incentivize them with something more concrete, they're going to settle for less. So I feel like, I don't know if this is the right tactic or wrong tactic, or I don't want to make any comments on that, but I think a lot of companies are leveraging that in human psychology to basically reward us in ways that are significantly less than what they should, just because they know it's going to work. So they're paying us less, but giving us little perks along the way that keep us happy.
Interesting. Hey, you're hanging out with Keith.
That must be a fucking good tasting pizza, for Christ's sake.
You're right.
You're hanging out with John Anderson and our guest Rafi Chowdhury this morning on Mornings in the Lab. Rafi, as we wrap up with you, brother, Jorie, just so you know, we got you twice on the horizontal, but no on the vertical, Jorie. So if we can get you up on the vertical, that would be great. Rafi, before we say goodbye, how can Business Athlete Nation, Mornings Nation connect with you, find you, work with you? How can we keep the conversation going with you once this show is over, Rafi?
Yeah, I'm on most social media platforms. They can find me on Facebook. It's just my name, Rafi Chowdhury. I'm on LinkedIn as well. My email, I just use my personal email, rafi1220@gmail.com, or they can go to my website, which is just my name, rafichowdhury.com.
Awesome. Any final words, brother, before we say goodbye?
You guys are doing a
really,
awesome
really
job,
interesting. I just want to say interesting, brother. It was fun hearing you talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to hearing about all your morning routines and future shows.
Yeah, and Rafi, we got to have you back. I'd love to have you back. I love the knowledge you're impartialing on us. I feel like we could have talked for probably a couple hours with you. So if you'd be so kind to have you back, we'd love to have you back sometime in the future.
It would be an honor. Thank you guys both so much.
That'd be awesome. You know what we'll do, Johnny?
Have a great day, brother.
We'll set it up for them so we can just roll right out of bed and come right on the show. And
right.
Because I'd love to see how Rafi's bedhead is when he gets up in the morning there. Oh, wait a minute.
Why do you think I shaved my hair off? This is the reason. I don't have
John Anderson haircut there.
That's the best way, baby.
I
like it. Nice.
All right, take care, Rafi. All right, we're going to get the John Lifestyle Tip coming up, and we've got Jorie Janzen coming in. We're talking protein, guys. Protein with Jorie. Johnny, let's get after it, pal.
What is my kryptonite? What is it that fucks me up? Well, we all have it. Mine is complexity. Now, let me explain. For me, When something is too complex, it keeps me from taking action. It keeps me from taking the first step. So I recognize clearly with me and my ability to be productive that I need to keep things simple. Simple is what works for me. Now, we're not all the same. The question is, do you know what your kryptonite is? If you don't, do a little self-discovery, because when you figure out what it is that's holding you back and you can keep whatever that kryptonite is to the side, it's going to give you a pretty big bang for your buck. So again, mine, complexity. I need simple, because when things are simple, I move forward. Moving forward, that's what gives me my success. So think about this, and think about it in a way of, what is it that's keeping you from taking that first step to go get what you want?
All right, Johnny. Jimmy, I'm moving my windows around. My windows are a little messy right now, but that's okay. We're going to get them sorted out here. All right. All right, let's do this. Let's bring up our friend, Jorie Janzen here. What's shaking, Jorie?
I don't know.
One of those days today, Jor?
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Just a little scattered today, but good.
Oh, do tell.
That was me yesterday. We just traded a little bit. Yeah.
You know, you just sometimes get up and the importance I think YouTube will really understand is when you're not well planned, you can't expect great outcomes. And today's just one of those mornings where I'm feeling the fact that I didn't plan as well yesterday. So it's all good, though. I mean, things will work out.
Well, and on that, I love that, Jorie, because we need these days. I had one yesterday, right? You're having one today. We need these days because we don't really understand the taste of sweet unless we get a dose of sour once in a while.
There you go. There you go. So
yes,
needed that today, John. Thank you.
And it's funny because today part of our theme of the show is why you must embrace vulnerability. And you're waking up today. You are being really honest with you, Jorie. You're waking up feeling very vulnerable today because you woke up. I'm going to make some assumptions right now. You got up this morning, you looked at your day, and you said to yourself, shit, I didn't prepare yesterday or last night as well as I could have. So now I have this feeling of like anxious catch up, and you're trying to probably catch up with your minutes and your hours right now, right? Am I correct?
Here's the thing. I had time to do it yesterday.
Oh, so you're human, Jorie.
I totally had time to do it. Like, my life is not that hard, overall compared to many people. So, yeah. So, it's lessons learned moving forward.
Jorie, right? My day was planned to the T. And it did make a difference. I had a poor night's sleep. I was just having a hard time following my marching orders, So it comes in all shapes and sizes, but it's okay. We need these days.
It makes us relatable. We can just dig that much deeper with the people that are also going through that. And it's, so there we go. It is what it is, but I'm happy to be here.
Good.
Super pumped. I love being part of this as often as you let me be part of it. Thank you so much.
Well, we love having you be part of this, Jorie. You are a big part of this whole thing here, and I love having you on the team here. And I thought
we have such a great dynamic, Jorie, because my experience is literally in a trench, and your experience is more science-based. So it's a really cool dynamic of conversation.
It is, and the cool thing, John, is that I am constantly learning to be better because I work with students all the time, and they bring it such high level, I'm like, bring it down. And then even when I think I'm bringing it down, I then hear your message and you've got great stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's even better.
Yeah. So
that was my lifestyle tip, literally. I mean, my kryptonite is complexity. If it's too complex, I won't take the first step.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to do on today's segment. So we're gonna. I was telling Jimmy this morning we're gonna have some fun with the segment here, and we've been. Here's some behind the scenes stuff, nation. We're working on getting our long form videos better. So we do this live show, we create shorts, and we're working on creating some long form videos that can give knowledge for folks that we can chop up out of the show. So I thought today's conversation, Jorie and Johnny, we could make this very personal around your experience, Jorie, your experience, Johnny, and give answers to the audience around this question here, which is how to increase protein intake in 7 easy ways. So my goal here is by the end of the conversation, we're going to have a 4-6 minute conversation here where the viewer is going to go, okay, I get it. Jorie gave me some stuff. Johnny gave me some stuff. Now I know how to increase my protein in 7 easy ways. And I'm going to start it off with number 1, which is Jorie, John, make protein a ritual. Jorie, start with you.
Yeah, I think first of all, to make it a ritual, you have to know what it is and where it's coming from. So once you understand your sources, whether it's availability, diet preferences, whatever, understand what your protein options are going to be. Then you have them there.
Johnny?
Yeah, and my thing is this, is that obviously it's coupled with what Jorie said, because if you can't identify it, you can't follow this rule. But every time you open your mouth to eat something, protein has to be the first thing going down. Period. End of story.
Which leads me to number 2 on this list, which is 7 ways to get protein into you on a daily basis, because it's the most important nutrient we can put in our body, which is eating it first. Jorie, when you talk to your clients, you talk to your family, are you a big believer in that as well, which is crush that protein first?
Oh, absolutely. I was chatting with one of my Paralympians a couple months ago because weight management is really important. You can't just go buy a new pair of jeans like when you equate it to the wheelchair. That's an expensive piece of equipment. So weight management, body weight really matters. And you can go with like any sort of sport gear that you have to wear. So when I was challenging him in a good way, I was like, well, how are you eating? And I said, when you fill your plate, start at the section where the protein is. Protein takes longer typically to eat. It makes you feel fuller longer. So start there, then your vegetables, and then I call them energizers. People call them carbs, but since people are scared of carbs, I call them energizers. Then go to your energizers.
That's good. I like that. That's really good.
Yeah.
And so start with your builders and repairs, then go to your superfoods or replenishers, and then your energizers, and eat around your plate that way, and then you'll be more satisfied. So that's kind of my messaging in terms of that.
That's brilliant. How about this one?
It's on that level. Just a quick side note, people that are trying to lose body fat or lose weight, whatever you want to call it. If you eat primarily protein, you can't help but to do it.
It just happens that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's because they're eating the wrong foods. Even if you overeat protein, it's very difficult to get fat. It's difficult to put on more fat if you're you have to overeating a shitload, or you got to be eating bacon. It's not really a source of protein, But from the standpoint of I get people all the time, hey, I need to lose 50 pounds. What should I do? Because they're looking for that magic button. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'll say, if I give you one rule and you follow this, you'll have success. Eat primarily protein, and it eliminates all the shit that we're trying to get out of there by eating the protein. I'm not saying don't eat this, don't eat that. I'm saying eat primarily. They don't want to hear put down the ho-ho.
No. We're hanging out with Keith, John, and Jorie. We're talking how to get more protein in your diet, how to increase your protein consumption in 7 easy ways. Number 3, Jorie, how about this one? Top your foods with chopped nuts.
Yeah, I really love that. I just think that people need to understand that whether it's a nut butter, nuts and seeds, they are so good for you. They're not a high protein food source.
Yeah.
They contain some, but if you look at gram for gram, it's going to be a higher fat content, which again, it's a heart healthy fat from those sources. And fat also keeps you feeling fuller longer. But I don't expect you to really understand visually what this means, but just look at the number. 1 gram of protein, 4 calories. 1 gram of fat, 9.
Yeah.
More than double.
Quick. If you try to get to your 30, 40 grams of protein in a sit, you're going to get excessive caloric intake from that nut butter or the nuts and seeds. But, a sprinkle or one of your snacks, included as part of the protein intake, it adds to. It's not going to be your sole source. Then absolutely. Great option.
Well, here's the question we're going to ask ourselves is, what are you sprinkling those nuts on?
Well, yes. Well,
I mean,
so
we're having this great conversation about sprinkling nuts. You don't fucking need nuts sprinkled on top of a fucking pile of bacon,
just a long
or you know what I mean? It's like we got to let's define this
if you
here.
have some walnuts in your carrot cake, doesn't make that a good option. Right?
Yeah.
One thing that I don't think humans think much about when it comes to adding nuts to things, and Lauren's done a really wonderful job at adding this to our diet, which is when you add these nuts and so forth, it changes some of the food texture and it's enjoyable. So if you're tired of having a salad and you're like, and she throws a little bit of nuts on there or throws a little bit of crunchies on there, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, it's a brand new salad. I just added a couple crunches on there, and it just the taste goes through your mouth.
Stir
A
fry.
hard-boiled egg.
Soups,
A hard-boiled egg doesn't have a lot of flavor, but you take a couple of salted almonds, put that in your mouth with that hard-boiled egg. Now you got some flavor, you got some crunch. You've completely changed the dynamic of that hard-boiled egg.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep going through this list here. Choose leaner meats, right? So we're not chowing down on the bacon, guys, to get your protein intake. So Jorie, lean into this idea of choosing some leaner meats. The obvious ones, chicken breast, good fish.
If you're when you're shopping for meat, looking for like anything that ends in loin, tender loin, right? So that's going to be a nice lean option. If it's not in your budget, then you can do things like if you're having ground beef, you can cook it up and then you separate it out. You take your cooked up ground beef and strain it, and then you've made your own lean ground beef. So chicken breast over chicken thighs. However, chicken thighs will have more iron content, so depending on what you're looking for. But I think you can take a look and choose leaner options. Fish can be fatty, but it's also a very good protein source as well.
Yes.
So lean proteins for sure. It's just understanding what those are, right? So meat, you can go lean. Eggs, you can go egg whites, maybe a third, 2/3 cup of egg white and one whole egg. Because plain egg whites sometimes are gross. I don't know. That's just me.
Yes, I don't. Johnny, anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's a kind of an extreme methodology, but I've got there's two different layers to it. So you want ground beef. Like a lot of times you can't get a lean ground beef. It's happened to me before. So I put it in a pot, right, with a bunch of water, take it up to get it up to temperature. The fat goes to the top, all of it. Take the fat off, strain the water out. You have got like ultra lean. Now, granted, it's not really palatable. Now you got to start adding in your salts and some sort of a fat back in. Like I'll usually put like avocado oil in there so it makes it somewhat palatable, but you can really manage how much fat you want in your ground beef by doing this.
Yeah. Next one up here, Jorie. Choose brown rice or quinoa over white rice.
Yeah. So the nutritional content for protein isn't that hugely different. So you'll get some higher micronutrients in, say, the brown rice over white rice. Quinoa will have, definitely close to double the amount of protein, but it's not super high. So it's like a 4 to 5 grams to like 8-9 grams.
Yes.
And making sure that you pair that up then with something else to make it a complete protein. So a while back, we talked about complete and incomplete protein. So plant-based sources typically are missing 1 or 2 amino acids that we need in our body. So mixing them up. So having maybe some chickpeas and your quinoa mixed together, right, can make it a complete. But it's not impossible. It's harder to achieve that high protein intake per meal with only plant-based sources.
Yes.
For sure.
Especially if you're trying to keep the calories manageable and the carbohydrate manageable.
Well,
then it is trickier.
The next one on our list here of 7 is adding beans to everything. Right. So, sprinkling a little beans here, sprinkling a little beans there, even if you're baking.
The musical fruit.
Yeah. Increase your water intake.
Yeah. But, adding beans to everything is relatively easy to do. You can often disguise the taste of beans and things if you're baking or in pastas or so forth, and you're increasing your protein intake without making many changes. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
I love beans. Terry doesn't like it when I eat beans, but I love beans.
Exactly. So if you're needing to get, 20 grams of protein at a meal, some of you will need more than that, but you could save the cost of some of the meat sources by cutting that in half and then doing the other component with your lentils or beans, with your pulses, with those options, and then sprinkling some nuts on there as well.
Yeah. And then the last one here on our list of 7 ways to increase your protein intake throughout your day is, and I don't know how many of us are bread eaters on this show right now as we're talking, but if some do like to have their bread, you might want to consume and choose whole grain bread instead of Wonder white bread that's been sitting on the shelf for months on end. Jorie, talk about bread for a quick second.
Sure. I mean, yeah, the seedy whole grain breads will have more nutritional value. They will have a higher protein content. So even, 3 to 4 grams extra protein added to whatever else you're going to put with the bread, it adds up. Again, it's not going to be the highest intake of your protein for the day, but it's more of an addition to what you're doing.
Gotcha. And Johnny?
Yeah, I for me, when people try to, Jorie's totally correct. But when I'm advising someone, I say, don't try to collect the grams of protein out of a fucking piece of bread. Let's focus on the shit that matters here.
Yeah. And that's a fair comment. I can't disagree with that. So listen, as we wrap it up our discussion with Jorie here, how to increase your protein intake in 7 easy ways, guys. Make protein a ritual. You want to eat it first on your plate. You want to choose leaner meats as much as absolutely possible. You want to choose that brown rice or quinoa over white rice. Sprinkle beans into as much as possible, and we'll make it 6. Stay away from bread, but if you do want to have bread, have the whole grain. Jorie, Lauren comes in with nut protein isn't highly bioavailable. Is that correct?
It's not the easiest form, right? So
yeah.
If we're looking at, they have like bioavailability of protein, there's like this chart that you can look at.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's not the highest. That's why I say there's that addition, right? So when you're adding it to something to just top up, if you're finding it hard to get that 30 grams of protein in a sitting, then it's an addition to what you're consuming, and it still will be there. It's like plant sources of iron, not as easily absorbed by the body. You can have them, but they might need a little bit of a helper. So iron sources from plants will need vitamin C that helps. So it's not as highly bioavailable, but it still adds to. Same thing with the other sources of protein.
Awesome.
I would add to this conversation, if someone is struggling that hard where they're trying to pick up all these little, a gram or two for the piece of bread and blah, blah, blah. And I think this would be the time where I would recommend some sort of a protein drink or a protein powder. I'm not at all a connoisseur of that if you can get the protein you need through real food. But if you're struggling and you can't because, you're having a hard time with putting all your food together in a way where you get adequate protein, it's time to have if you have just a few of those a day, you can really fill in some major gaps.
Interesting. Yeah. All right, you're hanging out with Keith, Jorie, and John. We're going to let Jorie get on with the day here. We've kept her a little extra 8 minutes here today. So, Jorie, I'm sorry I put you 8 minutes further behind the day here today. I'm hoping that after spending time with me and Johnny, you're kind of going, all right, I just take a little step break, Doc, and I'm just
absolutely. I told my husband this morning before I came down, I was like, you know what? I'm actually looking forward to hanging out with the guys. It's great.
The weather's warm.
Where's Marty?
Marty had to leave early today, so he had some obligations here. I know he was looking forward to hanging out here this morning as well, so he's on his way. I've been knocked on my ass for the last week. Today's like my first morning, I think, in a week here where I'm feeling like myself again. It was rocking and rolling here. So the weather's warm. We got a bunch of meetings on the agenda today. And Jorie, we're knocking on the Roku doors, the Netflix doors, the Amazon Prime doors, the Tubi doors. They need morning show programming content. So to my friend at Roku that we've been talking with on email last night, with Shaken, brother, I want to meet with you because you need to meet me and Jorie and Johnny because you need content for your platform. And yeah, we could do it for you. So Jorie, you have yourself an awesome day today.
Thanks so much. Same with you guys.
Awesome. All right, Jorie's going to get out of here. Me and Johnny are resetting. And then I got Adam Posner joining us in about less than 10 minutes or so for the podcast. Johnny, you going to take a quick pee break and you're going to rock and roll out of here? All right.
Yeah, I can stay till 20 today.
Beautiful. You go for a break. I'll reset the show, pal. All right, Jimmy, Johnny's getting out of here. Let's reset our show. Yeah. Good morning, Piper. What's up, baby? Happy birthday to my daughter today. Yeah, we had the guy yesterday for his birthday. We had the little girl with the birthday today. So, and then Uncle Keith's birthday is on Saturday. Not that we're celebrating, not that we're talking about it, not that we're making a big deal about it, but yeah, Ricky. The old man's getting a little older this weekend. So, hey, you are back on hour 2 with Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, the only morning show to help you guys get your ass out of bed, not hit the snooze button. You heard me say it before, but I'm going to say it again. You hit the snooze, you're 9 minutes behind. You do it 5 days in a week, you're now 45 minutes behind the guy over there. You do it all year, you're 2.5 days behind the guy that doesn't hit the snooze button. So don't hit the snooze button. Get up. Because here's the thing, you guys. Here's the thing. You're getting up anyways. Like, it's inevitable that you're going to get out of bed. So if you're listening to me talk right now and you're thinking, damn, I hit the snooze button today. Yeah, don't do it tomorrow. It's the simplest way to get 9 minutes back every single day in your life. What can you do in 9 minutes? You can go for a walk. You could burn off 1,000 calories or a couple hundred calories in 10 minutes. You just get up and go for a walk. So get that snooze button out of the way and get after it. First hour, guys, we talked about if you're stuck choking singularly, how could you stop choking? Do the Heimlich remover. We showed some content in the first hour. We had a couple AIs talking amongst each other, and that was a fun little conversation that we saw there. And then, of course, we had Rafi Chowdhury joining us this morning as well, talking about security and passwords. And Johnny was talking about the best way to take care of himself on the internet these days, and good chat with Rafi and digital identity and so forth. So it was a good first hour. Johnny, let's talk about something that real men most don't talk about, which is most men don't have close friends. Now, it's not because we don't want them, and it's not because no one.
Hold on. Is this a statistic?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
No shit. Because
Yep.
This is another one I'm not a part of. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So in the 90s, when they did this, so we're talking, 30, 40 years ago, in the 90s, only 3% of men said that they had no close friends. Today, that number has skyrocketed to 15%.
I got a theory on this.
Yeah. For single men, it's even worse. 20% of single men say they have zero close relationships. And get this, there's a problem, Johnny. A Harvard study found that loneliness is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It raises stress, weakens your immune system, and shortens your lifespan. Now, the study talks about why men struggle with friendships. Well, Johnny, society has drilled into us. You got to be strong. You got to be self-reliant. You can't be soft. So we learn to bond over doing things, not talking about things.
Well, let me jump in right there, brother.
Yes,
I think because if you look at who I consider close friends,
yes,
these are people who I have done really, really difficult shit with. We bond over difficult shit. So the problem with with men of today is they're not doing anything fucking difficult to create a bond with another man. You're not all of the guys that I would consider drinking buddies, all of the guys that I would consider people that I just kind of knew doing shit that wasn't difficult. Those people are fucking gone like a fart in the wind.
Yeah,
it's the people that I bled with, the people I sweat with, the people that I was constantly striving with. Those are the ones you have a bond with. So men, start doing difficult shit, and you'll find other men doing difficult shit to bond with, and you will make some fucking amazing relationships.
Yeah, there's so much truth to that, Johnny, especially in this study to talk about how experiences bring us together, right? And here's the kicker. Women have cracked the code. Just have to look around. Terry and her girlfriend, Lauren and her girlfriends, right? Studies show that women's friendships trigger more oxytocin, the bonding hormone, than men's, right? They talk, they check in, they keep friendships alive. Johnny, you know as well as I do, some men, we can go months, years without reaching out. And then when life gets hard, we've got no one to turn to, right? So Dr. Christopher Hansen, a clinical psychologist, says social connection is one of the biggest predictors of mental and physical health. Men who have close friendships handle stress better, have higher confidence, live longer, healthier lives. It's not how many friends you have. A few deep, reliable friendships are enough to change your life. John Anderson.
Yeah. And the thing about obviously we're comparing men to women, right? Women tend to be a little bit more, call it emotional. They're more emotional creatures, more open.
Yep.
Well, when you have those bonds, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, I probably got 6 friends. I don't talk to them that often, but our bond is so strong. I talk to them and it's like nothing has ever changed. And these are people I say, I love you.
Yes.
These are people that, and being affectionate, that's going to give us that connection drug. That's going to give us the oxytocin that we're looking for.
Yes.
But the thing about it is, if you haven't done a lot of difficult shit, a lot of times you haven't developed the self-confidence to say shit like this. Also means you haven't developed the fucking friendships because you haven't done enough difficult shit in your life.
Yes.
So the common thread for a man is start doing difficult shit and start doing it every day.
Well, this is why I've always enjoyed the gym experience, Johnny, and I think you have as well. And why I think a lot of men bond in gyms is because it's raw. You can be vulnerable, and and everybody sees the outer shell of the man in the gym. He's strong, he's rah, bro science. But deep down, in my experience, many are insecure, many are looking for a place to belong, and it's those friendships, those close friendships underneath the squat rack, underneath the bench press, helping a buddy, with a spot, right? It's those places where you can create a shared experience in the gym, right? So that's something that I
and then it's just not going to the gym. You got to go to the gym and do difficult shit.
Exactly.
You're not fucking bonding with the guy. You're not going to bond with some guy when you're really not fucking bleeding with him, so to speak.
That's right. It's exactly it. So here's a few other tips, guys, to help you guys build those friendships before we welcome Adam Posner in the lab here in a couple of minutes here. Find common ground, guys. Work on shared experiences, as Johnny and I are talking about. Leaning into vulnerability. It's okay to be vulnerable, gentlemen. You hear me all the time when I set it up going, hey, I'm going to be vulnerable, guys, or Johnny talks with pulling his pants down. Those strongest friendships come from honesty, not just shared interests, right? Being okay to say something to a friend that you didn't know if you'd be okay to receive it. Making the damn call, right? Again, you've heard me say it before on the show here, Johnny and guys. Send a message to somebody today who you haven't talked to in a while. Send them a text, right? Research shows that women maintain friendships better because they reach out. Men, I'm inviting you today. Send a message to a buddy. Tell him you love him. Tell him you're thinking about him. Grab a coffee with the guy, right? Choose some side-by-side connections along the way. The takeaway from this whole study, Johnny, is that men need brotherhood. We weren't designed to go through life alone. The world told us friendship was optional. Science says it's essential. So, men, if you want to be stronger, sharper, more resilient, build your circle. Reach out, make that first move, because strength isn't about standing alone, you guys. It's about knowing who's standing with you, as Johnny has talked about here.
And I think too is this is me. I would focus on just doing the things that are going to attract these people to you. Don't spend your time looking for these, because if you're looking, what you're not doing is the difficult shit that's going to bring them to you.
Exactly. All right, you're here with Keith and John Anderson at Mornings Live with Keith and Friends. We're coming up to our next segment with Adam Posner. Johnny, we got a power connector, a talent strategist, a guy who knows exactly how to put the right people in the room. Before launching his own talent empire, dude, this guy spent 15 years in the New York City ad game, leading digital strategy for brands like American Express, SiriusXM, and VaynerMedia. That experience gave our next guest a deep understanding of what makes great talent tick. Now, he's the founder of the NHP Talent Group and co-founder of Probably Nothing Talent. He's the go-to guy for helping hyper-growth startups, agencies, and Web3 companies find the right people to scale. And if that wasn't enough, Johnny, this guy's got an awesome show, man. He's also the host of The Podcast, a top 1% global careers podcast where he dives deep into hiring, career growth, and the real stories behind success. Johnny, Jimmy, let's bring him in. Let's welcome our guest, Adam Posner. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. With Shake and Pause. Oh, we don't have you. We got you muted on the vertical there, Adam. If we can get you unmuted on the vertical, that'd be great as well.
How's that? How we doing over there? There we go.
Oh, and you sound great too. Woo, you sound great. You look good.
And brother, if you look at yourself on the vertical, you'll see that you're only about a third of the screen.
Oh man, you guys, I haven't done that. Oh, so okay, hold on. Let's
you're all good.
There we go. How are we? Bam. Now we're cooking with. I haven't done a double StreamYard. It seems so dirty to me.
Ooh,
it seems like I'm cheating. It seems like I'm cheating on StreamYard here. It's like a StreamYard threesome here. I didn't even know that was possible.
Oh, we're teaching Adam some tricks and tips behind the trade here.
Old tricks here. Gentlemen, I'm happy to be here too. And I love the conversation right there. And if you don't mind me just building on that for a second.
Yes.
I am blessed. I am blessed that I have such an incredible group of male friends that are true friends, like real dudes that were open to vulnerability, that were able to talk about real shit, whether it be relationships, health, finances, careers, because we create a safe space. There's no egos. It's all about helping each other. And I feel like there's so many men who don't have that for whatever reason. They haven't been in the right friend circles, maybe because they're neurodivergent, introverted, or they're just scared to do it. And you don't need to have, 30 close friends like I have. All it takes is one person you could rely on, right? One person that you could count on for anything that you need as a sounding board, right? Like we talk about relationships that you're in. Listen, we need a sounding board. We need a place to vent. We need a place to just air our shit to a friend that's going to listen, right? Isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah, that's a good start, brother. That's for sure. I mean, it's and having that person that you're truly connected with wants to listen.
Yeah. And making the time and the space, right? The
Hey, Johnny, I know you got to rock and roll here in a second, brother. Can you stick around, Johnny? You got to roll.
I got a minute or two. So forgive me. So give me out of here at 25. I'll take that. 4 minutes.
Awesome. There you go.
Cool. Adam, have you always been that way with your friends, or have you guys had to work on it? Adam,
it's a great question. And since I was little, I've always had a real close group of friends, and I think it started when I was young, going to summer camp. There's something about going to a sleepaway camp when you're 10, 11 years old, and listen, it's cool. You have friends when you're a little kid and everything, but when you're with them 24 hours a day, you're sleeping in the same bunk. You're very close and intimate with each other. You form this ability for interpersonal relationships, and that is a hard and a soft skill, in my opinion. I send my daughter's 13. She's been going to sleepaway camp for years. And I keep telling her, and she saw this year one, she's going to be light years ahead. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, to other girls her age, as far as the ability to maintain, develop, and foster relationships, how to deal with conflict, how to communicate with your friends in a way, because you're living with them. It's almost like fucking prison, right? It's pretty, right? Like, but you have to, it's almost survival there. And my, the relationships that I have, some of my oldest relationships are from my days in summer camp that I've been friends with dudes for 35 years. And there's time and there's investment and there's history. And we may go 6 months without talking to each other, or even a text message with some of those guys. But when we see each other and we talk, it's like nothing has changed. And then I have my other group of friends who literally all day long on the WhatsApp, checking in. Someone's going through relationship shit. Someone's going through health issues. It's about being there. It's about keeping them top of mind. And there's such power. And I've done men's work. I've done men's group and men's circles there. And if it's not something you're comfortable with, it's hard. And I could totally see why people they think, oh, it's not manly to share your feelings. That I think we're long gone since the days of that. And I think we just have to continue to put the message out there like we're doing right now on the show.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, again, I still go back to the fact that, in today's society, if we do difficult shit, we attract other people that do difficult shit. And when we bond, we have I guess you'd say, when you're bonded really tightly with someone, you feel like you can be honest in yourself and it's going to be okay, which then creates the platform for this whole thing.
100%. 100%. Because there's no mask, right? You don't need, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Keith, but just to build on what John's saying, you don't have to front. You don't have to have a mask. They know who you really are, right? Like they know the truth. They know you better than you. I don't love when people say they know you better than you know yourself, because that's fucking bullshit, right? But but they know you. And here's the biggest one. A true friend is someone who's going to call you on your bullshit.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Who's not going to just be like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. No. It's someone's like, dude, do you hear what you're saying right there? That's not you. That's not who you are. What are you saying that in your head to yourself? No. Get out of your head. Get out of your head, man. Let's face this head on. You got to be there for your family. You got to be there for your kids. You got to be there for your health. And you just got to take care of shit. And I'm here for you, whatever the hell you need.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Johnny, I know you got to rock and roll, brother. So let's say goodbye to you today.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
John.
I gotta jump. Pleasure to meet you, brother. And
likewise, man.
Keith, I'll see you in the morning. Have a good loop, guys.
You got you, brother. All right, Johnny's gonna get out of here. We're resetting with Johnny in less than 24 hours now. Mornings and Live with Keith and Friends. The only morning show to help you get your ass out of bed. 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here on LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. Hey, Adam, did you know this?
No.
Did you know the snooze button It has 9 minutes on purpose, because when they were making mechanical clocks back in the old days, they recognized that the gears that they were using could only, get up to 9 minutes. But then what they did is they kept that in place forever. So as digital clocks and digital alarm clocks all adopted 9 minutes. Did you know if you hit the snooze button every single day for a year, you're going to be 2.5 days behind the guy that doesn't?
Well, let me tell you something. I don't hit the snooze button.
There you go.
My wife does. My wife hits the snooze button. But there's also a strategy there. Let's just kind of digress for a second here. There's a strategy here. Let's just say that I need to be up at 7 and out of bed by 7. You set the alarm for 6:40, 6:45, because some people need, and I need it too. I don't need, I'm not going to go back to sleep, but I do need those few minutes just to wake my ass and my brain up, right?
Yeah. All right, brother. Let's get into talking about Adam Posner. Let's talk about your experience. Let's make some content together. You've seen both sides of the hiring equation, working inside big brands and now leading your own recruiting firm.
Right.
Adam, what's the biggest hiring mistake companies still keep making today?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's called like bias. And here's what happens. As humans, we are attracted to similar people. Generally speaking, we're attracted to energy. We're attracted to people that we have a good vibe for. And inherently, there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens in the interview process, and I'm guilty of this, I am a great interviewer when I was on the job hunt. And I could talk my way through maybe a job that I was overqualified for. I could get to the next round. I could get there. The problem we have right now is that so many hiring managers, are not trained properly in the interview process to really dig in, to understand the person's hard skills, soft skills, and experience. And they're hiring because they like them. You ever hear that after an interview? Be like, oh man, I just had a great interview with Keith. And you're like, oh yeah, what do you like about him? I just like him. There's something about him. No one's questioning, but what about his experience? What did he do? The question that hiring managers need to get to, and it's very simple. It's called FIO. That's the acronym, FIO. How did you figure it out? I want to know, for this particular job, skill set, activity, Keith, what did you do? Not what did your team do, but what did Keith do on this particular project? And we need to get back to more of that, because companies are hiring too fast. And listen, it's a gamble at the end of the day, right? The whole interview process.
Yes.
You don't really know how somebody's going to do until they start. On the flip side of it, the other problem is not proper onboarding. And this is a function, I think, of the pandemic, when so many companies had to shift from physical in the office to remote. And when you're physically in the office, it was easier to onboard. You had somebody to shadow, they would bring you to your desk, set up meetings for you. Now, some companies do it great, but it fell off on so many companies. So if you're not set up for success, that's the company's fault. So two sides right there.
Well, yeah. And then you're right. You hire somebody and you really don't know how they're going to work out for at least 6 months.
Yeah, usually that's about it, because someone needs time to onboard properly, to ramp up, and to get acclimated.
Yeah. Adam, you're a self-proclaimed power connector. What's the secret to building a real valuable network, not just collecting LinkedIn connections? What's your secret sauce? Drop a nugget for us, brother.
The ability to add value to somebody without having your hand out and expecting something in return. Not being quid pro quo. And that's what it's all about. Because the value pendulum, it's a pendulum. It's not a balance. It's not a 50-50. I mean, there's people I'm connected to that are best in class, bellwether, whatever the hell you want to call it, like human beings out there, some of the most successful people. What can I give them? Right? Versus what are they providing me? Because they understand that. They understand how much a little bit of their time means to me. Right? And there's something intrinsic about that. So I really think that proper networking is not transactional. It's not. And you have to get that mindset out. And there's skills and techniques. And now, with that being said, I think that there are certain relationships that are transactional just by nature of what they are. Right? Yes. Some of them are short, but I play the long game. I've been playing the long game professionally for 25 years. And I've only had to burn one bridge in my entire professional life, because that needed to be napalmed and needed to be scorched earth, because that person was a piece of shit and they needed to learn a lesson. But aside from that, dude, April 1st will be 10 years since I got fired by VaynerMedia. I am still close with everyone there. I am working with them. I have relationships with them. I could have scorched earth over there, but I did not. I took the high road, and it's paid dividends, Think about that. How many people have been let go from a job and still have a relationship a decade later with the people that work there that I consider some of my closest mentors and people that I could rely on? I still have, a line to Gary, a couple times a year, right? Like that's unbelievable.
You're the one who put. Yeah, but you put the effort into that though, right, Adam? Because when you were let go, you had a choice to make. You could have, like you said, you could have gone scorched earth. You could have been negative. You could have put your back up, but you chose to resume and continue the relationship with VaynerMedia.
Correct.
Hard for many of us to do as human beings, putting the ego aside.
I think that's really it too. I think you have to swallow your pride. Well, here's the deal, man. I deserve to get fired, right? Like I wasn't doing the job they hired me for, and that's self-awareness and accountability. So if you could park that. Now, listen, I'm not going to get into the whole thing now. We're water under the bridge there. Yes, there were things that, the organization is a much younger organization back then, but that's not what we're talking about. I decided to take the high road, and it's paid dividends for me. And I'm not saying that's right for everybody in every situation. But if you see the value there, and if you understand the greater context of what happened at the time and place 10 years ago, I was not right for Vayner, and Vayner was not right for me. And that is just self-aware, like the ability to just say time and place. Now going into it, I thought it was my dream job. I thought it was my forever job. At the time I was idolizing Gary as a social media beacon and everything he was building there. And I thought it was going to be my forever job. And that couple year period afterwards, when I left Vayner and I transitioned into recruiting, a completely new profession, yes, those are a tough couple of years for me. There was a lot of stuff going on in my head of like identity, like who I am, what am I doing professionally, who I am in my career. And that was, dude, I mean, listen, now, I mean, I'm celebrating 10 years in the industry, and I've been doing this longer than I've been doing anything else. Like it's mindset, man.
Adam, are you surprised that companies still don't take a more positive, empowering approach when they let somebody go? Follow my thought on this. So back to VaynerMedia. VaynerMedia lets you go because they recognize that it's not the right time and place. Vayner's like, you know what, Adam, we're going to help you find that next career for you. We are going to now help you get to that next place. So you're like, wait a minute, you just fired my ass. Yeah, I know, but we think you're an exceptional human being. It was the wrong time and place. What do you mean you're going to help me open the doors? And what do you mean you're going to help me get my next gig?
Exactly. Yeah.
That seems so simple, but yet I don't know many organizations that do that.
No. So let's dig into that for a moment here. And this is really interesting. I'm not sure if you've seen this video. Let's take it back to 2019, LinkedIn Talent Connect in Dallas. Gary Vaynerchuk is a keynote speaker there. I met up with him beforehand, and I'm going to link this up for you in the show notes here because this happened. It was on stage. We connected before he went on stage. We caught up. We broed out for a little bit. He gets on stage, and he's doing his keynote there. Then all of a sudden, he goes, I can't believe this is happening right now. And he points to me in the audience. He goes, in this audience right now is somebody that I fired. And it wasn't because I didn't like him, because he's a great dude and I love him. It just wasn't the right place. And what happened afterwards, yada, yada, yada. But then he finishes the keynote and he goes, why can't companies recognize that it's more important how you treat and how someone feels on the way out than the way in?
Yes.
And that resonated because if you really think about it, it's not just about doing the right thing. You hired that person for a reason. You liked them. They had what you needed and it just didn't work out. You're leaving them with a bad taste in your mouth, right? You're leaving them with a bad taste. And companies could do so much better to ensure people have a soft landing. Another example I have of that real quick, my time at American Express, again, another really interesting point in my career where I left SiriusXM, and God, I wish I didn't. Like I look back on that, but it was a good opportunity in American Express. I was already at SiriusXM for 5 years. I didn't love where I was at in the organization. I didn't see a place for me to go that I wanted to go. Amex came in. Listen, American Express is a legendary, world-class organization. The problem was when I got there, day one, hour into it, I knew it wasn't a culture fit for me. And I hate the word culture fit, but I'm going to say it here because F is a fit in the bad word. I knew that I made a bad decision on day one there, but I stuck it out for about a year and a half. Long story short, new president came into the organization and he restructured everybody. He said, everybody has to re-interview for their job. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding me? I have to re-interview? Amex has a gauntlet interview process. I got through that. But they said if you didn't want to, you could take the buyout. And I was like, wait a minute, am I getting a free pass here? And at the time, my wife was, we were about 3 weeks out from having our first child. She was going to take 3 months off of maternity leave. It was summertime. And I said, fuck yeah, I'm out. And I had like 6 months severance, a year of healthcare. I was like summertime with my wife and my new daughter at the time. It was incredible. But the point I'm trying to make, the long way, Amex had outplacement. They contracted an outplacement service, and this is something I learned. I'm gonna teach it to your audience here. I worked with an outplacement. I had nothing to do for like 3 weeks before my time was up there. So I was like, why not? I'm here anyway. I'm just sitting around the office doing shit, right? Like, let me go meet with this lady. And she was great. We worked on resume prep. We worked on all these skills, these hard skills for resume prep. But she also did this process with me about crafting your elevator pitch. And this is why it's so important. Every interview that you're going to go on, someone's like, hey, Keith, pleasure to meet you. Yeah, we're talking about this marketing manager job. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, there are so many people that stumble through that. They have no strategy to that. But when you have your elevator pitch down and you keep updating it every year with your job and your career, and you can regurgitate at any moment in an elevator, in a meeting, in a networking event, who you are and what you do succinctly and what you're looking for, now you could focus on the rest of the interview. And that is a skill that everybody should master, whether you're currently employed or not. And you start by writing it. You craft it, you write it, you memorize it, you get it down to where you could just regurgitate that off the top of your head. And now that answer is done. Then you can start to customize it a little bit for that specific role. You have to put the work in. When you're looking for a job, it's harder than any job you've ever had. You need to plan your work and work your plan. There's a sound clip for you.
No kidding. These are nuggets, man. We got some comments coming from the audience here, and Lauren's right. She's like, Adam has to come back because you're dropping some great nuggets for us here this morning. And Lauren's like, the last company I worked for did just that. They set you up with a recruiter immediately following dismissal. And Rick Clody comes in, Adam, and says, Adam's is so right. Most companies don't onboard properly. And there is a right way to let someone go.
Of course,
right? So we focus so much on onboarding our human being. We don't focus enough time on offboarding them. But to your point, there's absolutely a right way to offboard.
There is.
Right?
There is. And I think also because companies just don't know how to do it. And there's so many quote unquote newer companies that they don't care. They don't have the right people. They don't do it right.
Yes, exactly. Hey, brother, keeping it going here. I'm keeping you overtime here. A couple more questions if I can. You got an awesome podcast, man. I've listened to it. I've tuned into it. I subscribe to it.
Thank you.
You've had some awesome big guests as well. Who's been the most surprising interview that you've landed? And I'm ready to join your show whenever you like. But who's the most surprising?
I mean, it was early on. It was Kevin Smith. I mean, Kevin Smith was it. I mean, it's somebody I've going back to Clerks and Mallrats and Chasing Amy and Zack and Mary Make a Porn. And like, these are just movies that I grew up with. And this opportunity came my way through my network of relationships. Kevin was promoting something. And let me tell you something. He was incredible. He was everything that you wanted and got. It was a real Kevin Smith. And he talked to me and he listened and he was funny and engaging. And I made it a point to ask him questions that I personally, as a fan, wanted to know.
Yes.
And he was so happy because they were deep questions. I asked him about working with George Carlin, right? You know, on Dogma. And like, because Carlin's my legend. My whole comedic structure and history is based on George Carlin. And he worked with him. And I wanted to hear what it was like to work with George. And when I asked that question, I saw his eyes and face light up in the most genuine, one-on-one human way. And then he gave me his raw dog answer, man. And it was so good. But honestly, I mean, after almost, between live shows and podcasting, almost 500-600 conversations over the last 6 years.
Yeah.
It's the guests that aren't the household names. Of course, I've had the Gary Vaynerchuk's on in the world. Chris Jericho, professional wrestler, legend. Former New York Governor David Patterson. There's some other names like some really top CMOs and CEOs out there. But it's the guests that come across my plate through PR or other outreach where I just see something in their story and their journey, and it's not a household name. And those are the most real conversations. They don't have sound bites and not always out promoting a book or something.
Yep.
Those are the real deal. And that's what makes my show what it is.
Yeah, that's what I've thoroughly enjoyed, Adams. I've been building my show here for the last year and a half. Is these human conversations, or you're talking to somebody. I had a guy on my show a number of months back, and he was on the show to talk about biocentric lighting, Adam. And as he was talking, he's like, "Yeah, I was selling F-35 fighter jets." I'm like, "Hold on a second. What did you just say?" He's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Okay, we're not going to talk biocentric lighting right now. I really want to talk about what it's like selling military fighter jets, right?" And that's the kind of stuff that you're like that people just. You want to dig into and learn about.
Well, you hit the nail on the head on something, and this is what makes a great guest, because a great host, because a great host is you're interested. I'm more interested than interesting. No one wants to hear when I'm hosting, no one wants to hear my shit, right? It's about how do I frame up the guest. And when you're listening very carefully to what the guest is saying, and you as a host has the ability to say, wait a minute, that just went, a light bulb went off in my head. Let's make that left turn. And we're going to go deep on that, because that's probably something you don't talk about on every show. Yes. And then the ability to bring it back to center and focus on the story that you want to go on. Yes. That's craft. That's craft.
Yes. I had a guy on my show that as he was talking, he lets me know that he worked for DARPA. I was like, hold on a second here.
Whoa. Yeah.
I'm like, you worked for DARPA? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, so some of the smartest human beings in the world work at DARPA. So that whole show went down a conversation at DARPA for a year and a half about crazy that happened in the United States. But Adam, let's work towards wrapping this up. So today's theme is about vulnerability. And this one I think is a good question, especially in the recruiting space. Have you ever seen a candidate land a job by being vulnerable as a human instead of trying to sell themselves and their skill set?
Gosh, you're putting me on the spot here. I can't even make up a good story there. I think I don't have an example of that. I think it's a great question. And I think it's a double-edged sword, because you don't know who your audience is on that call.
Okay.
You don't know how they're going to receive it. I think there's a level of vulnerability in your story, in your journey, and how you frame it up. I think especially if you've been let go, because here's the deal. Me as a recruiter, if I'm presenting a candidate over, they want to know, the hiring manager wants to know why they out of work. And it's a very fair question. I don't care what you have to say. I want to know why someone's out of work. Is it performance related, or is it unfortunate due to a reduction in force or layoffs? And I think that as a candidate, you have an opportunity for optics to frame your story there.
Interesting.
Right? And I think there's a delicate balance there, and it takes finesse, and it takes a lot of listening on the candidate side to see if that person's going to be receptive to that. Because I'm telling you, almost every interview, hey, Adam, take a look at your resume here. I see you left Vayner pretty quickly after 7 months. What happened there? And you have to be able to answer that.
So let's roll.
Right? You have to be able to answer that there. Luckily for me, I did not have to answer that, because that's where I switched careers. But there's other points in my career going back where, they had to ask that. And there's a level of realness there. But listen, I spent a year and a half at American Express, and unfortunately, I'll be honest, it was not the right place for me. And here are the reasons why. I was a good performer there, but I just felt for me in my career, it wasn't the right time and place for me. It wasn't the most nurturing environment. There was X, Y, and Z things that, I didn't need, but I do see that in your organization. I think that's related. I think that's relatable.
Yeah. I would want to flip the script, Adam. If you asked me that question and I was not allowed to be vulnerable and show my character and be human, and if you dismissed that, that's telling me that that's not an organization I want to work at.
Exactly.
Right. So, if you ask me the question and you give me the door to be vulnerable and be human and let you know, so Keith, I see you lost your job. Yeah, I got fired because I sucked at performance. I was going through some tough times in my life and this, and I'm thinking your response is, holy smokes, that's pretty honest. That's pretty, you're giving a very character driven response. I got to think you're going to lean in as a human being instead of put your back up and say, oh, this guy's a fucking loser.
No, I agree with you there. I think that most human beings are empathetic and understanding. And the last 5 years have been a fucking clusterfuck for the world.
Yes.
And I think there's so much more empathy than there was 5 years ago, before pre-pandemic, BC, before COVID, right? And then we go back to BC, people were more job hopper, right? They would look and see these red flags out there. But now we understand there's tech layoffs. We understand that there's shit going on in the world and in life, and everyone is dealing with something.
Yes.
And I think you have to understand that. And on the flip side of that, one of my favorite mentors, Claude Silver from Bapl Media, she quotes somebody else that says, we've all survived 100% of our bad days. Right? We've all survived those bad days, and we all gotten through that. And maybe you're catching somebody on an interview that's not having a great day. I'm not even going to get into it. I can't even tell you the amount of shit that's going on in my life right now off camera, right? But I show up and I give it my all, and you take your shot, right? Like, you have to take your shot. And when I'm going to take my shot, that was another big unlock for me in my career also, which happened after I pivoted into recruiting. I gained this confidence to do the show, to take my shot, to reach out to guests, reach out to opportunities. And you know what? And they say, right, you can miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And there's no better cliche freaking quote than that, because it's true as hell.
Yeah, very, very true. Hey, you're hanging out with Keith Bills and Adam Posner, host of the Podcast here on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. We're wrapping up our discussion with Adam. He has been an exceptional guest here. He runs a top 1% global careers podcast where he dives deep into hiring, career growth, and the real stories behind success. Adam, where can Business Athlete Mornings Nation connect with you, find you, work with you, and final closing comments from you, my friend?
Love the plug there. Yes, check out the podcast at thepodcast.com, POZCAST. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Adam J. Posner. You can follow us on YouTube /the Podcast and on Instagram at NHP Talent. I love connecting with folks. I love engaging. Please reach out there. Final thought, it goes down to my mantra that I every day, and it starts with my notepad here. I look at this every morning. I'm old school, analytical. My first mentor in analog. Sorry, my first mentor in recruiting said to me before I even opened up that laptop on the first day, he goes, every day, plan your work, work your plan. Plan your work, work your plan. And that's my mantra every single day. I have a mission. I also try to, eat, what do they call it? Eat the frog. I try to take on that first big task every morning, get that out of the way. My kids every morning, first thing they do is make their bed, sense of accomplishment, get your shit together. Let's go. Like, start the day with a win. Yes. Start the day and build up from that. I mean, not every day is going to be like that. Believe me, life comes at you real fast, right? So plan your work your plan. And anyone out in the job market, listen, keep your head up. It's really, really rough out there. Stay focused. Don't spray and pray applications. Work your network, build your network, and just keep the faith. You got this.
Great advice from Adam Posner joining me on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. Adam, I'm going to fanboy for a quick second, man. I've been trying to get you on the show for a while, and I know the timing has been with family commitments and so forth. So I am immensely grateful that you found some time to hang out with me this morning. I'm very, very grateful. I know Kraski talks very positively about you. I love
good guy.
I love the content you put it on the platforms. I love your podcast, and I'm hoping this is the first in many conversations we have together, my friend.
Yeah, no, I love your style and approach here, and as long as you have me on at 9:15 or 9 a.m., we could do this.
Absolutely. We got Rick Clody coming in saying fantastic guest, and you guys should connect on LinkedIn as well. But Adam, you have yourself a great day, my brother, and we'll be in touch along the way, okay?
All right, take care. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, Adam's going to get out of here. Jimmy! Woo, baby! So right now, if I could, I'd go for a piss. But there's just me here. Yeah, the friends part of the show is over with. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. The friends part is over with. Maybe Lauren can come downstairs and just take over the camera and get in front of the microphone here. And I think she's over there and upstairs. Come on down here, and she'd make the show much better looking. There's no question about that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that whole situation. Yeah, she'd multiply the look quotient. You'd knock out Billis, you'd knock out Posner and Anderson and Marty and probably even Rick Clody. Although maybe Jimmy, I'm thinking that if Rick Clody was here, he would up the handsome quotient. I might lose the title of the handsome chief to Rick Clody if he joined the show. I'm just saying, Rick. Just saying. But listen, I got a face here on my screen, down in the left corner. Well, looks like a young lady who we're going to celebrate. Oh, did I just leave a hint there, Jimmy? In the creator spotlight. Rick, you know what, pal? I've been focusing so hard on saying your last name right. I think I'm going to call it Clout or Clout or anything when I first met. And then Nation, I got a nice video from Rick one day. He's like, Keith, here's how my name is said. I was like, oh. So for those of you that are butchering your names, just send me a video. And I might learn how to say it correctly. Cloudy, Rick, you're awesome, man. One of our big fans of the show. At least I think he is. He shows up all the time. So I gotta think that Rick's gonna help me pay the bills here one day. One day when YouTube sends me a check, I'm gonna put up my office with Rick's face on it, because I know that Rick has helped contribute to that whole experience. So Rick, I appreciate you so much, man. Rick, who else do we have here on the show this morning? Of course, my lovely girl Lauren's on the show. My lovely daughter just sent me a text. It's her birthday today. She's turned the big old 1-5. My son turned 18 yesterday. And next year, it's the big 1-6 for Piper. She's driving next year. So I got to get my ass in gear, make some cash so that we can help the young lady get herself some wheels. But Jimmy, let's keep it rolling, man. We're going to work towards wrapping up our 2-hour show today. Man, I love shows like today, Jimmy. Oh, I love shows like today. Love it. A lot of energy, great guests. Rafi Chowdhury was awesome. Adam Posner, the podcast. So I'm a super fan. Clody, a super fan. If you're not connected with Adam, you got to connect with Adam. I'm a huge fan of the guy. I love his work. I love his podcast. I love his perspective on things. And hey, you see, guys saw his profile? Yeah. The guy's got great hair like me. Yeah. Adam, I'm saying, man, you got great hair like me, or I got good hair like you. Yeah. And so I'm getting corrected by my lovely wife right now on how to say Adam's name. So it's Adam Posner, not Posner. All right, we're not talking about the dogs right now. Oh, baby, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the script. Yep, going to pull up the script, Jimmy. We are going to do the creator spotlight for LinkedIn. And today we have somebody who looks like, yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. So we got somebody here this morning. I got to get some tunes in my ears. Where's my tunes, Jimmy? And because tunes just always seem to make my life go a little better in my head anyways. Well, I'll get that going there for us. There we go. All right. So today we're shining the spotlight on someone who knows exactly how to take a high potential creative team and turn them into a well-oiled, unstoppable machine. Yeah, true story. You've seen it before. Brilliant creatives stuck in a cycle of missed deadlines, burnout, endless revisions. It's not about the talent. It's about the structure. And the right structure can make all the difference, nation. Enter today's Creator Spotlight. This powerhouse doesn't just manage projects. Nope. They transform the creative operations from the inside out. They bridge the gap between creatives, managers, and clients, making sure great ideas don't get lost in translation. Jimmy, who do you think we're talking about, Jim? Who do you think we're talking about? Well, I know who we're talking about. Today, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends is excited to celebrate our first Creator Spotlight. Jimmy, let's put them up on the screen. It is going to be Adriana Steiner. Boom, boom, boom. Listen, she's an operations specialist and a productivity coach with 20 years of experience in animation, marketing, and events. Andrea's seen it all. Burnout, broken systems, creative bottlenecks, and she's on a mission to fix it. But listen, what makes Adriana a game changer? She helps creatives balance structure and freedom so they can actually be creative. Go figure. She builds bulletproof workflows that boost productivity without burning people out. She translates between creatives and non-creatives so miscommunication stops killing good ideas. So, nation, you need someone to optimize your team's performance and make sure creativity actually thrives. Adriana's the one to call. So, Adriana Steiner, we're here celebrating you this morning on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. You can see your profile on the screen right now that Jimmy's got up there displaying to all you guys. We would love to have you on our show. Yeah, true story. So what does that mean to you? Love to have you on the show. I bet there's somebody in your orbit you think is doing great work. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have you on the show so that we can celebrate that person who's in your orbit to shine the big old Mornings in the Lab light on that person. Just like we do a just whirl it right up with that sound effect. So Adriana Steiner, we want to have you on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends so we can celebrate somebody in your orbit. That is our Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight this morning on the LinkedIn platform. Okay, now you guys also know we like to do things over on Substack as well. Now we have our second Creator Spotlight this morning, who is somebody with a PhD. There we go. I have an opinion on letters after people's names. You want to hear it? I love it. This morning, Mornings Alive with Keith and Friends has somebody we're going to celebrate today. Let's talk about the beast we're all up against. Listen, technology isn't just part of life anymore. It runs the show. Yeah, true story. And if you're a parent, good luck. You're trying to raise a kid while algorithms and endless scrolls are just taking over the kid's brain. Dopamine hits fight for their attention 24/7. 1 minute, you're setting screen time limits. The next minute, your kid is 3 hours deep into some video rabbit Rolodex. Yeah. So what do? How do you keep your kids from getting lost in the digital chaos without losing your mind in the process? You got to enter, Jimmy. We got to enter in Dr. Jacqueline Mezzi. Yes, Dr. Jacqueline is the clinical psychologist at Brown University professor, co-founder of Tech Without Stress, and the creator of Techno Sapiens, a Substack newsletter that actually helps parents understand tech's impact on mental health and gives them strategies that work. No fear-mongering, no fluff, just straight-up research-backed insights that make parenting in the digital age manageable. She's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the Guardian. And if you're looking for a smarter way to handle tech in your home, Techno Sapiens is the playbook you need. So if you're ready to take control of playing defense, you got to subscribe. Dr. Jacqueline Mezzi is changing the game. Dr. Jacqueline, here's how it works. We're celebrating you here today, and we'd love to have you on the show so that you can pay it forward and celebrate somebody in your orbit for the Mornings in the Lab Creator Spotlight. There you go, Jimmy. That's it. That is our Creator Spotlights this morning for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends, and both of the segments there. So, Jim, it's time to get out of here, pal. Big show here today. Back at it tomorrow, guys. Back at it tomorrow one more time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Right here on LinkedIn, over there on X, over here on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. Hit subscribe. Our content shows up throughout the day, and we go live every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So on behalf of myself, Rick Clody, Lauren Warniak, Johnny, Jimmy, Marty, Adam, holy smokes, Rafi, Jorie, the whole gang this morning, Adam Holroyd, thank you for tuning in. See you guys tomorrow, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. Oh, hold on. Let's get this one. No, this one here. This one here. There we go. Jimmy, we're getting out of here. Let's go.